are looking at one of the original dry glass plate negatives, from 1893, which was used in this video. The dry glass plate negative process involved coating a sheet of glass with an emulsion containing gelatin and a light-sensitive substance, then, allowing the emulsion to dry completely. This resulted in a ready-for-use plate which allowed for shorter exposure times, sharper images, and easier handling and storage than its predecessor, the wet glass plate process. The dry glass plate negative was the first economically successful and durable photographic medium, which was in common use between the 1880s and the late 1920s, when it was replaced by celluloid film. This is Castle Williams in 1898. This structure was a circular fort located on Governor's Island, in New York Harbor. The castle was constructed in 1807, and officially opened in 1811. Its purpose was to protect New York City from naval attack. Here is the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Arch, as it appeared in 1893. The arch, located at the Grand Army Plaza in Brooklyn, New York, was dedicated in 1892, to commemorate those Union soldiers who died during the Civil War. Top and front statuary were added near the end of the decade. On May 1, 1898, during the Spanish-American War, Admiral George Dewey scored a decisive victory over Spain in the Battle of Manila Bay in the Philippines. The victory was celebrated on Manhattan's Fifth Avenue during September of 1899 with a ceremonial parade, including a specially constructed triumphal arch. The Puritan, one of Fall River Line's excursion steamships, is seen here in 1892. These passenger ships were among the most glamorous, luxurious, and advanced means of travel at this time, transporting mostly wealthy passengers from Manhattan to Boston and Bar Harbor. The floating hospital was a concept which was founded in 1866 by New York St. John's Guild of Trinity Church. Its stated goal was to afford relief to the sick children of the poor of the city of New York, without regard to creed, color, or nationality. Emma Abbott, a prominent opera singer of the time, dedicated her time and influence to see that the floating hospital became a reality. 9 years later, in 1875, the first floating hospital, the Emma Abbott, was launched. Its success spawned several additional floating hospitals. The floating hospital exists to this day. The General Slocum was a sidewheel passenger steamboat which operated in the New York City area between 1891 to 1904. After suffering numerous groundings and collisions during its service, it caught fire and sank in New York's East River in 1904, resulting in the deaths of 1,021 passengers. The General Slocum was the worst maritime disaster in the 20th century, until the sinking of the Titanic, in 1912. The RMS Teutonic, a British ocean liner built for the White Star Lines, was among the first ships to use propellers rather than square-rigged sails as its primary propulsion system. The ship crossed the Atlantic frequently from Liverpool to New York, carrying both passengers and cargo. According to the photographer's description, the Teutonic is seen here, ice-bound, in New York, in December 1895. The Columbian Naval Review in New York on April 27, 1893, coincided with Chicago's Columbian Exposition, celebrating Columbus' discovery of the Americas 400 years earlier. This event, on the Hudson River, featured naval ships from around the world, as well as numerous non-military watercraft, and resulted in a new national holiday, Columbus Day. Here are a few of the ships which sailed into New York Harbor and up the Hudson River. The Van Speijk, a three-masted, unprotected cruiser from Holland, named after Dutch naval lieutenant commander, Jan van Speijk, was the only Dutch entry in the 1983 Columbian Naval Review. The SS Massachusetts, a short-range battleship, is seen here in 1893, traveling near Castle Williams at Governor's Island, in New York Harbor. It was among the most powerful ships of its time, featuring heavy-caliber weaponry and heavy armor. This vessel was commissioned June 10, 1896 and decommissioned March 31, 1919. This two-masted warship was not identified by the photographer. This two-masted battleship was not identified by the photographer. The USN Baltimore, a protected battlecruiser, was launched on October 6, 1888, commissioned on January 7, 1890, and served as flagship of the North Atlantic Squadron. On September 15, 1922 the ship was decommissioned. The USN Newark, an advanced protected battlecruiser, was launched on March 19, 1890 and commissioned on February 2, 1891. She saw extensive service in the North Atlantic, the Caribbean, the Philippines and Asia. After being decommissioned on June 16, 1913, she served as a hospital ship for 13 years. An unnamed U.S. battleship sits in New York Harbor surrounded by other naval and non-military vessels. At Manhattan's Upper West Side Riverside Park, a public waterfront parkland which today extends 4 miles along the shore of the Hudson River, onlookers enjoy the spectacle of battleships, cruisers and other naval vessels during the Columbian Naval Review. We hope you enjoyed this look back to vintage New York.